So what was some of your biggest takeaways from that you've learned?
I think that you didn't need specialized grilling equipment, just because I've always had an interest in barbecue and smoking and grilling. And
9 of the 10 biggest selling beer weeks of the year come during the summertime, and we are seeing an absolutely explosive growth in non-alcoholic beers.
But again, there's lots of great places to
Yeah.
eat now. Root Cafe in Lakewood, I think, is a really excellent place to get good vegan and vegetarian options. Beach Art Juice Bar is wonderful, and they've kind of expanded their menu since they first started.
I'm Josh Duke,
And I'm Alex Darus.
and you're either watching or listening to Dine Drink CLE, the podcast, where each and every week we're going to be joined by cleveland.com's best and brightest food experts, insiders, and influencers talking all things food and drink here in the Northeast Ohio area. What are we talking about today, Alex?
Yeah, so 4th of July is next Thursday, so we have a lot to talk about with that as far as food goes. The kind of two main topics are grilling and drinking, so we have some fun stories to do with that, and then we're also going to talk about vegan restaurants because the Cleveland VegFest just happened recently, so we're going to talk about where you can eat more veggies. So
Awesome. Well, getting us started on the eating portion of the summer 4th of July weekend stuff we should look forward to. You recently had an educational barbecue experience. You want to tell us about that?
yes, I went to the Loretta Paganini School of Cooking. They had a barbecue and grilling boot camp. It was 8 hours of intense, hands-on. I became a grill master in one day, pretty much. So anyone can take this class. They have different classes on the campus. This one that is the 8-hour one is around $300 a person. But it's you do everything. You smoke salmon. We did beer can chicken, pulled pork, brisket, 3 kinds of ribs, sides. It was like 3 meals in 8 hours. And you really learn like a lot about not just like the fundamentals of grilling, but just how to make really good barbecue food with whatever you have. Like we used charcoal grills, gas grills, like little Weber grills that a lot of people have in their backyard. It wasn't like a lot of specialized equipment or really like specialized ingredients. One of the rubs that we did, because that's also what we learn a lot about, is how to make all the different regional sauces and rubs and stuff. But we made one with a Lipton iced tea mix. So it's something a lot of people would have like in their fridge, but there's sugar in it. There's acid, like citrus in it. So it kind of adds a lot of those flavors that you would look for in a rub anyways. But
Very resourceful and creative.
yeah, it was really cool. Tim McCoy taught the class. He's one of the instructors there. And yeah, I've been really itching now to make ribs at home.
So what was some of your biggest takeaways from that you've learned?
I think that you didn't need specialized grilling equipment, just because I've always had an interest in barbecue and smoking and grilling, and you can get really expensive with it. Like people have smokers where you can control the temperature and the heat from your phone, like on an app. You don't even have to be there, and which is cool, but it's like you can still get the same quality stuff just from using a Weber grill and kind of being smart with the techniques. A lot of small things too I learned, like because it's a culinary school, like where they hold the class. So you're working in an extremely professional kitchen. I felt like I was on like Food Network, like where they were like, go get a mixing bowl off the wall of like 50 mixing bowls. You know, they have like everything there you need. But even like dumb stuff, like we were making this like really stuck with me, but we were making coleslaw and shredding all the cabbage, and so the coleslaw wouldn't all be like purple or orange from carrots. We soaked the cabbage and the carrots in ice water before mixing them together, and then it was like picture perfect. So it was just stupid like little tips like that really you learn a lot, just because the nature of an 8-hour class, you're cooking all day. Barbecue naturally has a lot of downtime too. So it was a lot. But it also, I was kind of worried like, I had to be all the way in Chesterland at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. Like it's going to feel really long. No, it like flew by. I was surprised it was like 8 hours.
Yeah, so you said you did sides too, right?
Yes, we made hush puppies, coleslaw. We did some smoked baked beans, which were delicious with bacon in them. And I think that was... and we made like a tomato cucumber salad.
And you guys were split into groups, you said in your story?
Yeah, so we naturally, like, the way that it's kind of set up, like, if you're in elementary school or high school and you're in a science lab with, like, tables. We had, like, 3 tables. So each group, they kind of naturally split us off from how we sat. So each table did, like, a different style of ribs, or we each got a side. It wasn't like we each made every single thing, but it also wasn't like we were all always working all the time. So like we could watch the people do their sauce or their side and learn how to do it from them. But it was like, you don't want 15 sets of hands making one side dish. It's kind of a lot.
But you guys got plenty of things to try and to taste and eat throughout the whole day.
And the thing that was the best, which this isn't even like well, maybe it is, but because the class is held in a culinary school, and when we went this year, they were doing the ICASI, I think they call it the cafe, which is kind of like one of their final projects, kind of like taking a final in school, but they have to basically feed the public, and like they make all these meals. And so they were working all day, and we saw them do that. But then like other people were doing their tests or their finals, and it was like making 6 kinds of cheesecake. So they were like, yeah, we just finished the cheesecake exam and came in with like 6, and so we got to eat that all day. Or they were making scones for something, and it was like I ate all day.
So for others, come during graduation time, because you might get
if you get lucky, the culinary students are very generous.
Yeah. So okay, when you talk about who this is for, what were the sort of what was the makeup of like the other people who came and experienced it with you? Who was it for?
It can literally be anybody. Like there was one guy there who he does barbecue competitions. I think he said he was like grilling and smoking for 20 years or more. And then you had people who were like mother, sons, kind of trying to do something together. The son is like moving out on his own, wants to buy a grill, doesn't know. And the mom's like, how is he going to feed himself? Yeah, like different so many different scenarios and situations of people that did the class, and just a general interest in cooking, which is also cool because Tim really caters the class to the group, and he provides a lot of he just has a really cool cooking background too, being that he is an instructor at the school. So he just has a lot of knowledge to share, and kind of based on what the group's interest is, he'll talk about. He gauges. I'm sure if I went next year, it would not be the same class at all.
So what are like the makeup of the sort of other classes or experiences you can get there? Like how
they have a ton of classes. Not all of them are 8 hours hands-on. They have some that are more demonstration classes where you kind of sit and eat, and I think you can like sip a glass of wine and they'll make stuff. But there's almost a class for everything. I think they've done cultural cuisine centric classes like Italian food or Japanese food, or I think he said he did a whole class on making different kinds of egg rolls, just filling egg rolls with different things. like they'll teach a class off of anything that you kind of have an interest in. They also have, even just for the barbecue portion, more scaled back classes that aren't the full immersive experience. But I mean, if you're into barbecue, I would say it's the best way to go. Like you just learn a lot.
So even I could get something out of it. I could participate.
Yes. Actually, yeah, maybe they would do a 101 boot camp for you. Like, oh my gosh, have you ever seen the show Worst Cooks in America?
I've heard of it.
We should put you on that.
We should
put you on that.
I think I would surprise you, honestly. I can use a stovetop.
That's good. You don't. That's good. You own a home. You don't burn it down.
I can make some scrambled eggs. I can put some chicken breasts on there, season it.
So just the stovetop, not in the oven.
Well, oven. We're getting layers of complexity.
That's 201. That's the 201.
Yeah, so we're getting in the danger zone.
Can you grill?
I've never done it, but I'm sure you just put it on there, right? Just put it on there. You flip
God.
it. You tell me you went to the grill.
We're gonna have the Dine Drink CLE grilling boot camp for Josh.
You just put it on there and flip it.
No.
Yeah.
It's science. It's science.
Make sure it's hot enough. Come back and check it.
How do you turn on the grill?
I think I would put charcoal in there and some like lighter fluid.
No,
and then
you can't put lighter fluid because then you
I
poison yourself. That's how you poison
Oh,
yourself.
okay. Well, don't listen to me. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about.
We do not endorse
We do
this
not
message.
endorse this, but some people do it that way, I think.
Okay, I think someone needs to be first signed up for the 2025 barbecue boot camp at the Laura Paganini School of Cooking.
How do you start it then? Tell me.
How do you start it?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, you put charcoal in there. You have the best way to start it is you buy a little chimney, and it's like this little thing, and you start a mini fire in the chimney, and then you can put it over the coals, and then yeah.
It sounds like a lot of work.
You're a gas grill, man. I can already tell. You need a gas grill. Yeah, so speaking about barbecue, part of the barbecuing experience for me is always drinking a beer while I'm doing it. But not always, it doesn't always have to be alcoholic. So we have Marc Bona here to talk a little bit about the non-alcoholic beer trend. Hi, Marc.
Hey, guys.
So yeah, non-alcoholic beer, what's the scoop?
Well, it's amazing what you learn in this job, and 40% of beer sales over the course of the year occur from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I would say beer season is every day and all seasons, but that's what I've learned. 9 of the 10 biggest selling beer weeks of the year come during the summertime, and we are seeing an absolutely explosive growth in non-alcoholic beers. I recently spoke with Andrew Heritage of the Beer Institute about this, and really what I wanted to get at was whether this is a fad or whether this is a trend or whether this is really truly here to stay. And he was very enlightening. A survey recently came out. The majority of people who the Beer Institute did survey said the quality is getting better and they enjoy non-alcoholic beers. And this is, it's interesting because he's saying this is really just the tip of the iceberg. The growth in the last really 1 to 5 years has just been exponential. It's just jumping up. It's really, truly amazing. And there are so many different reasons as to why this is happening, basically because of the consumption habits of drinkers, basically. I spoke with Nick Barber, the bar manager at Bell Tower Brewing Company in Kent, and he was saying there's a lot of different reasons. There's people who don't drink at all. There's people who are, dry curious, and they're going to try it for a period of time or a month. There's people who have health reasons. There's people who want to go out with their friends and don't drink, but they don't want to drink something boring and just sit there and drink a soda or water. So there's a lot of different reasons why people are doing this.
Yeah. And what about like types? Like, is all non-alcoholic beer the same, or is there a lot of different variety in the styles? Well,
back when I was a young drinker, there were not many non-alcoholic options. There were basically 3: O'Doul's, Sharps, and Caliber. These are from major companies. They did taste different, but they were basically lagers, and they were what they were. Now it is drastically different. For one thing, every major brewery is making a 0.0 type of NA product. Small breweries are making them. Larger ones are making them. But the real answer to this and how popular this is really lies with a company called Athletic Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. They exploded onto the brewing scene. They are the 10th largest craft brewer in the country, and they are not making just one non-alcoholic beer. They make nothing but non-alcoholic beers, which means they're making multiple styles. They have a golden ale. They have a shandy. They have a wit. They have IPAs. Their IPA is just tremendous, and it's really a great thing, but that is really the proof is in the pudding. You're seeing a lot of breweries carry these types of options, and they are, I don't want to say eating into the craft brewery share, but they're an option for someone in a bar, in a craft brewery, in a tap room.
Yeah, and I think also locally, BrewDog does a lot of non-alcoholic different ones too. But it's also, even if you are drinking, I don't know, you hear people say like, oh, have a water in between every drink, which you probably should still do if you're drinking non-alcoholic. True. But you could have one beer and then have a non-alcoholic beer, to like take a break too.
So as somebody who participated in Dry January, a little bit into February too, at least most of February, And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time. I was dry curious. I did that.
Good for you.
Yes, but one thing that I liked when I was going out and I was finding mock cocktails were cocktails that still had that sort of punch, like that alcoholic punch. So if you want that punch from a beer, like where do you recommend finding one that like
If
still
you want that
has
punch from a
kick?
beer, then
you
you
know?
can get a regular beer.
Well, I mean, if you want a non-alcoholic punch.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's not so much a punch; it's more of the flavor. And if you like beer, but you want it to be non-alcoholic, Athletic is really the way to go. I mean, I've had a couple of theirs, and some of them are like, man, this really tastes good. Some of those other non-alcoholics, like O'Doul's, it kind of sort of tastes a little hoppy, but it's you're not drinking a beer. I mean, it's in a blind taste. I think most of us could get that it's non-alcoholic, especially after several.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a punch so much as the actual flavor that you're getting.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I also know Verbena, Free Spirited shop in Ohio City, sells a lot of non-alcoholic stuff, including I know they sell the Athletic beers there if you want to go back to your dry life. No, now you're downing soft serve margaritas every week.
Yeah, nothing but soft serve margarita ice cream.
Oh Jesus. But it is really cool and a good option. And like you said, it's hard now to go to a brewery and not see at least one non-alcoholic option. It's like it's part of the trend right now.
I give the breweries a lot of props on this because when hard seltzer became a thing, they started making it. They're not trying to take over the brewery with one product, but they're at least giving an option there. There are a lot of them, many of them, the larger ones, have liquor licenses that allow them to make cocktails or offer wine. Some of them got into the cider business. You can go into a brewery, a craft brewery's tap room, even if you're not a beer drinker, and you're probably going to get a good meal and you're probably going to get a good drink that you may not even sip a beer all night.
And staying on the healthier side of things, we just had VegFest here in Cleveland the past weekend, and we have Peter Chakerian here who's going to talk a little bit about that and some other vegan stuff we got in the works. So welcome, Pete.
Hi, friends.
Yeah, so VegFest is happening. I know you're working on a story about vegan bites around town. What do you think of the Cleveland vegan and vegetarian food scene?
I think it's a really interesting and much more deep experience than I think a lot of people might expect just off the surface. I mean, I'm old enough now to remember what vegan and vegetarian options meant back in the 90s before we really had the explosion of people being concerned for various reasons about eating vegetarian or vegan. I mean, your choice was essentially a salad or a salad with sundry things thrown into it to make it look fancy, or like a pasta of some variety, a vegetarian pasta of some kind, and that was it. And so if you went somewhere and you had somebody who was adhering to a specific dietary restriction, or they had some humanitarian thoughts behind being kind to animals and didn't want or choose to eat meat, those were your options. And the great thing about what VegFest I think offered was a dive into what all the options are, what kinds of things people can eat in place of animal products. And we have a wealth of places here in Cleveland where you can go and get really good stuff, and you almost forget that you're not eating meat.
Yeah. No, I was going to say one place that I enjoy is the Green Kitchen in Clark Fulton. He makes a lot of, they started out at Little Rose Tavern, and then he got his own spot, the chef there. But they make like mac and cheese. It's all like comfort food, burgers, like fried chicken, but it's all vegan, and you wouldn't even know that it's vegan at all. Like, it's probably not the best for you, but it's all plant-based. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about sort of the plant-based, the move to plant-based eating is that they are making things that would be appealing to someone who maybe wouldn't go down that road. So you are seeing things like the vegan and vegetarian burgers are a lot different than they were when they first came out. They're not these frozen pucks that you just get from the frozen food aisle, and hope that they warm up in your saute pan well enough to, doctor up. They actually are these really substantive things that you could take to a cookout, and you might even be able to pass them over on somebody and they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
That reminds me of whenever the Impossible Burger came out. What was that for? Burger King?
The Impossible Whopper.
Impossible Whopper. I remember that. That was just everybody talking about, like, literally how crazy that was. I never tried it. Did either of you?
I've had an Impossible Burger, but not the Whopper.
Well,
it bleeds.
what is that?
I don't know.
It's not blood. But anyway.
But yeah, it's kind of like the two, like that's one side of it. Like there are these products that are kind of engineered to resemble or replace these meat options. But then people also do a lot of cool things with vegetables. Like I've seen the carrot hot dogs where they will roast a carrot and do all this stuff to it, marinate it, everything, and it's in place of a hot dog on a bun. Or
have you tried that before?
No, but at the Chef's Garden, which we were at, Paris and I and Mark were at recently, they have root vegetable slices, and it's kind of like they're supposed to resemble like deli meat or almost like lox or stuff like that, and you can season them up and doctor them up, but the way that they're sliced and preserved, it's almost like meat. So it's kind of two camps of food in the vegan vegetarian umbrella.
And you can sort of dial way back 50 years or so. Tommy's was really the only place on Coventry that was doing anything remotely vegan or vegetarian friendly. And I think that's a byproduct of the fact that that was sort of the neighborhood really sort of lent itself to that. There was definitely more of this counterculture style of things back then. But again, there's lots of great places to eat now. Root Cafe in Lakewood, I think, is a really excellent place to get good vegan and vegetarian options. Beet Jar Juice Bar is wonderful, and they've kind of expanded their menu since they first started. Cleveland Vegan is another place. Of course, I feel like I'm sticking in that Lakewood area, but there's definitely a pocket of people who are really into that. And there's a vegan deli that's actually
Black Market Meats.
I was just going to say there's Black Market Meats that's there too. So I mean, there's a real pocket of people who are into that vegan and vegetarian lifestyle in Lakewood.
Well, and it's also cool too because there are also places that it's like now veganism is such a thing. They don't even use it as a selling point. Like Cloak and Dagger, for example, they're like a cocktail bar, destination cocktail bar. But all their food there is vegan. Like they don't have any meat or animal products on the food menu. But it's all,
Well, and I'm a gigantic fan of Cloak and Dagger. You may have seen in a past episode where me sporting my little hat. I do like them a lot and appreciate what they do. But I found them as a cocktail bar first and was completely blown away by all the different options that they had, both vegan and, sort of mindful of being, anti-cruelty. I just thought that was fantastic.
As we're looking at the places in Cleveland and, talking about how they're pushing the envelope, being different, and it's kind of becoming normalized, I'm wondering if we have any that are following that like fast food model that just kind of reaches people who look for a quick, cheap bite.
I know Brassica, which is a little more like the Chipotle fast casual. They have a lot of vegetarian, vegan options.
I was just in there pretty recently and had some delightful lunch. It was really good and super light, and
it's so good. Like I work out near there, and it's hard to work out there because it smells so good there all the time. But even like other stuff too, like the Vegan Donut Company, if for like breakfast or dessert kind of things, they have delicious donuts. And again, you wouldn't even know that they're vegan. The Vegan Club in Shaker Square, they do a lot of like very innovative comfort food, vegan dishes kind of thing.
Then you got the vegan soul food truck.
Yes.
I saw them at Juneteenth. I was like this close to trying it.
What stopped you?
There was a macaroni spot right next to it that had loaded mac, so I was like,
you got hypnotized by the cheese and the bacon.
Yeah, the bacon, the jalapeno. Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's a couple of these places that actually do dive into that. They do cheese, with the Z's, like mac and cheese. You can get
the Green Kitchen mac and cheese is really good.
Green Kitchen mac and cheese is solid.
That's vegan?
Yes.
Wow. What is the cheese?
A lot of times it's cashew. and then they'll do nutritional yeast. I don't know exactly what they do there, but that's how a lot of people make vegan cheese. You look like you're scared.
I'd try anything once. I tried a cricket. I can try some yeast.
Kicking and screaming.
Really not that weird to
Yeah.
have nutritional yeast
Yeah.
as an additive in any food that you choose, whether it's vegan or not. It adds sort of this rich, sort of nutty taste to anything that you would use it on. I definitely use it when I'm preparing tofu or tempeh. It gives it sort of this added sort of earthiness that isn't inherent to it.
Tofu. yeah.
Would you ever go vegan? Oh yeah, Joshua.
Here we go. I knew this was coming.
No, I ate tofu with him, and he's
Tofu.
like,
You have to if you marinate tofu,
it's delicious.
it is delicious, and if you grill it, it's even better. And shout out to Cleveland Tofu, like they do an awesome job of providing, I think, the top of the line tofu that's available in the market here in Cleveland, and they're local.
So you wouldn't be a vegan?
Yeah, I would try to. No, the best I can do is pescatarian for sure. I
So
can
you
never.
still eat a fish?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as far down the road as you're.
That's
you'd
as
be
far
willing
down.
So
I
you could
couldn't
do dry
do-
January, but you can't do veganuary.
Yeah,
Veganuary.
I can do dry January before veganuary any day. I need something. I need bacon or eggs. Or,
Need bacon. That's
or-
not like
or
butter.
fish.
Like
Oh yeah, butter. Yeah,
honey.
cheese.
Some
I
people
can't
say
go without
honey
cheese.
is not vegan.
Earth
Oh,
Balance-
bees.
Earth Balance butter is really good.
No, the bees probably say that too, but the bee supporters say it's not vegan.
That is a good question. Is that because are you really hurting bees to extract their honey?
What's the other thing that's not vegan? Oh, like gelatin. It's not technically not vegan because there's like horse hooves in it or something.
What?
Am I making that up?
I think you're horrifying our
Am I
our
making
guy
that
over
up?
here. No, I think that at one point that was the case. I don't necessarily know that that's the case across the board now.
Paris is shaking her head
Okay.
off camera that I'm making up lies.
Well, I do want to know is honey vegan?
Well,
Now I'm-
some
now I'm
people,
like-
some vegans do not eat honey.
There is an argument.
It's a
around
it's
that.
a debatable thing.
What do you guys lean?
I'm not a vegan.
Well, okay, you can still have an opinion about it.
My opinion is I love honey.
I love honey. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Like I guess you could use like agave.
Agave's good. It's not honey.
It's not honey.
Agave's good.
I don't know. I couldn't be a vegan.
It's fun. It's fun to experiment with.
I was gonna say you're not
No.
a vegan.
No, it's fun to experiment with.
Yeah.
I don't.
I was about to ask, and then I'm like, no, you ate like 30 Pop-Tarts 2 weeks ago. That's not
no,
vegan.
it's definitely
Yeah.
not. No, I will tell you that I did a similar thing to what Josh did with dry January. I did go for several months, in fact, eating vegan and vegetarian, and I did find my way back to being, omnivorous and eating everything, which is another whole story. But I will say that there are a lot of great options, and it can be a lot of fun to experiment with if you haven't
Yeah.
really done it before. I'd encourage everybody to give it a shot and try some, vegan and vegetarian options.
Yeah, meatless Monday or things like that.
Even a meatless Monday is a really simple and easy way to do it.
Well, and I think now, kind of like what you said before, like a few decades ago, if you wanted to be vegan or even vegetarian, you would have to eat most of your meals at home or kind of be given bland options.
Mhm.
But now it's like it's easier than ever to be vegan and maybe not a cook because you could go out to eat all the time.
There are a lot of restaurants that are out there that don't sort of fall into the purview of what my story is going to be about. But you look on their menu and you can see that they have vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free
Yeah.
options. It's more and more inclusive all the time.
Yeah, I was
and
thinking like Zhug or Amba. Those are very easy
wonderful
places.
places to get great food. And again, another two shining examples, in fact, of places where you can get vegan food and you don't even realize that you're missing something because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like you're missing anything.
Yeah, so we'll convince you, Josh. We're gonna get you some. We'll eat some tofu on the pod next week.
Get you over to Earth Bistro.
Oh no,
or,
let's give him something
Birch
weird.
Cafe.
Let's make him eat a tofurkey.
What is that?
Remember that when people used to, instead of like turkey for Thanksgiving, it's a tofu turkey. It's Google it later.
It
But see,
sounds
this
horrifying.
is the thing. I think we will scare him if we do that. We should
Well,
actually
yeah.
give him something that he might
Or
actually
beyond.
go, wow, this
we'll
is
go to
bad.
Black Market Meats and get you some of their salami.
That actually sounds like a good idea.
Thanks so much for listening to or watching Dine Drink CLE the podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at DineDrinkCLE and subscribe to our newsletter at cleveland.com/newsletters.